going to start recording, guys. Welcome to Practical Shooting After Dark. We're here for another lovely bang-up podcast, I think we call it. On deck tonight, some familiar faces and someone new. So the familiar people, the old guy, everyone is asking me, like, well, where's Matt Hopkins? So where have you been, Matt?
I'm here. I'm right here.
No, people always think that, like, you just don't like doing podcasts that much. Like, you do it sometimes when you feel like it. You're just not
like
here.
It just didn't fit in last week when you guys were recording. I was actually driving some.
Thinking like that you've been gone for months and months.
I took all last summer off or something like that.
Yeah, so you're taking some time off. That's okay though.
Well, you gotta keep it fresh.
I keep it fresh. Really, I mean, I might take a few summers off, and we'll just kind of see what happens. It might be fun.
Steven.
Okay, so we have Joel Park, which he's around so much now, it's annoying for people. Who cares about him? Steve Newell. Who is Steve Newell? I think is the question. Say hello, Steven.
What's up?
Yes.
Yeah.
So Steven is quite clearly new to the podcast game. I think the question is, who is Steven and why is he interesting to people? So I'll talk nice about you, Steve, so you don't have to do that for yourself, because I know that
would be a first.
Okay. Steven, when did I meet you, Steve? Was it 2015?
No, it was way after that. I didn't really start putting in work till 2016. I think it was 2017.
That I met you? It was in the spring then?
Yeah. I took your class.
I know. I was thinking that class was in 2015. I guess it was 2017, and I'm a little older than I thought it was.
Yeah,
which is fine. Okay.
It makes me feel good about myself.
So Steve is talented, motivated, all that stuff that I like, but also, have you sandbagged your way out of GM still? Are you successfully pulling a Wansik right now?
What do you mean by that?
Wansik spent more years than he should have, not as a GM.
Oh no, I made GM last year.
All right, that's what
I finally felt like it.
Okay, so
I didn't make GM
pretty good
single stack yet, though.
You were a pretty good sandbagger for a while, as I recall.
Yeah, well, it's because I didn't really focus on it. I just shot classifiers.
You make whatever excuses you want, Steve.
I mean, whatever, man.
Nobody is buying it.
It's not important to me.
Okay. So Grandmaster Shooter, you shooting carry optics now. You used to shoot single stack. I think you've come pretty well at nationals in single stack, I think.
Yeah.
Back when we were less good at shooting, now you're a bit better.
I'd say that's true. Yeah. 2018, I shot 2 nationals as single stack. One was Canada Nats, and the other one was USPSA Nats.
So you won Canadian Nationals, I think, overall that in that division. Okay, can't be Canadian National Champion, of course, but you can win the match.
Yeah, so I got first overall there, and I think I took 13th at USPSA. Wasn't a great match for me. But
yeah. Well, anyway, so Steve's good at shooting, and you have an interesting history because you're in the Marine Corps, which is cool, but on the Marine Corps Bullseye team for a while, was it, or the pistol team?
Yeah, the story how I got there is kind of convoluted. But yeah, I shot Bullseye for the Marine Corps shooting team. Went to nationals there, and went distinguished too. So basically means I didn't have to qualify anymore because the military was like, "You're good enough. We trust you."
Okay, well, so I've never shot a Bullseye match, so that's
it's
nice.
Terrible. It's horrible.
Didn't you get into an argument online about was fairly?
Yeah, so I kind of triggered Rob Leatham with that a bit.
Oh, you're gonna go there? Okay, here we go.
I mean,
tell me more.
Some dude, a dude I shot the Bad Beat shootout in Vegas with, posted a thing where he was training for Bullseye, and I made a somewhat joking comment that Bullseye was lame, and so I got some retorts how not lame Bullseye was. With them assuming I'd never shot it, but I had shot it for a year and a half straight, went to nationals for it and everything, got decent. I think I was shooting about master scores by the time I was done. So I kind of let that go, and Leatham just kind of went off on me talking about how terrible my generation was and that we don't have any respect and that Bullseye isn't dumb. And I was just like, well, I'm glad that glad that we got, the whole being triggered thing from you guys. So it was an interesting conversation.
Good talk. Jesus. Well, I've never shot bullseye, Steve, but it's pretty dumb to me too.
Imagine shooting the same 3 drills for like a year and a half straight. There's bullseye.
Sounds horrible.
Well, I definitely are a man after my own heart, annoying the older generation of shooters, Steve.
Yeah, it's great. It's kind of why I want a single stack optic.
A similarity.
We'll go back to the 80s, slide mounted single stack optic, and we'll just piss on the old guys with it.
Perfect. Okay, so we have another thing going on. I'm glad you're here, Stephen, because this is good. So, Matt, you've been a victim of this unwittingly.
Is it a victim or
beneficiary? Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah,
kind of depends on how you look at it.
It was voluntary, so.
So, for listeners, Practical Shooting Training Group. Well, the time is not here yet, but the time is coming that we're going to need more people doing video reviews. So, to that end, we have it in testing. So, I mean, let's do a sales pitch first. If you're a training group member, doesn't matter what level, it's completely irrelevant. You can go on training group right now and drop a video up for review, and either Joel or Steven or maybe no one. How many of you guys skipped?
I think I've seen 3 that no one's responded to yet.
There's like 3 in queue right now.
Okay, so there's. Yeah. I like how you call it a queue, Joel. So you're so nice because you're gonna do all the reviews anyway. Even though I was like, you don't have to do it. They don't do all of them. Anyway, if you want a video review, same as like a silver or gold member would get, you can do that now because we are testing out other people for review. So if you are a training group member, you can drop a video in the temporary test reviews section, and either Joel or Steven, or perhaps if due to the volume or whatever, maybe nobody, but there's a chance that they'll review it. A pretty good chance right now because it looks like you guys have done most of the stuff on there. So Matt, you had that done?
Yes, I have. I submitted a USPSA local match video on there for review. And Steven was good enough to review it for me.
That's nice of him. So anyway, the same review service. So anyway, we at Training Group send out tablets to you two guys so you guys can review stuff, and maybe we'll be we'll see what the group says as a collective, but maybe they'll want one or both of you to do reviews in the future, which would be cool. So that's what's going on with Practical Shooting Training Group, and I think some other stuff is happening too. I'll run this by you, Joel, because you're the most you're the most plugged into Training Group right now. So I don't know if you've been paying attention to this. I'm very plugged in. Okay. So have you seen in the content suggestions, people are always talking about classifier videos they want?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So what I've come up with to do for this, we'll make a series of, I had different requests. So one guy's like, hey, make a video just explaining all the new classifiers and like talking through them mentally, which I get it. That'd be kind of interesting. Other guys want to see hundreds shot on classifiers. I used to do that way back in the day. But I was thinking what I'll probably do is set up a classifier and kind of train on it for a training session, and then make a video demonstrating it, talking through it, whatever division I'm shooting that day, just kind of explain the strategy and the scoring specific to that classifier and what I'd be trying to do on it and how I'd be preparing to shoot it, like specific to that one. And then I would kind of prioritize making these videos about newer classifiers, if possible, because some of them are kind of complicated to build. But does that sound interesting to you, Joel?
I think that's an awesome idea. And then talking about major or minor power factor, what your approach is, all that kind of stuff.
So those considerations will come into play. And I would think that by watching that video and understanding it, maybe you would help. It helps people strategize for stuff. So anyway, that's my idea. And now I'll make that a series kind of like the dry fire sessions.
I still think one of your best videos was your talk through of the walkthrough to your actually shooting from IPSC Nationals.
Oh, yeah, you like that?
Yeah, I think that was probably
a good idea somebody had.
I like it. I thought it was really good. It pointed out some interesting things, like what you think about, like when you're walking through versus at least what I think about, It was very interesting to see.
Well, I'll try to do more of that, Matt. That's one of the problems I'm running into is there's too much stuff to do. So I think this week I dropped 2 videos. I mean, I had 2 kind of interesting videos. So I just put them both out. Like, fuck it. Like, whatever. Because I want to make sure there's enough stuff in there. But that'll become a problem to maintain series because I can only make so much. But I'm doing my best. Anyway, that's what's going on with Training Group. Let's move on with the podcast. You guys know the deal. Everybody comes on board with a topic or some shit that's going on, something they want to talk about. So I think, Matt, you're a perfect candidate.
What?
No, you
No,
don't
I'm
really
not
have a
supposed to
topic.
go first. No, I got one. I'm just not supposed to go first.
All right, what do you got, Joel?
Well, I was actually going to talk about video reviews on Training Group.
Were you really?
Yeah.
You stole his topic, Ben.
Very sorry. Well,
Maybe
so
I think I just put his topic in context. I don't think I'm really stole it.
No.
Sure.
So like Ben said, Steven and I are doing reviews. Just thought I'd give some suggestions to people that post stuff. So sometimes people post a video of, let's say it's like a 20-second stage. It's like, hey, what do you think? I would suggest that your training videos, so like maybe a 4 or 5 minute video of you just on the range, doing some drills, seeing how you do the drills, looking for trends, those kind of things are very important. Or maybe it's a dry fire drill of just you running around your kitchen or living room or basement doing a drill, and maybe you're talking out loud like, oh, that draw was really crappy, or oh, I'm not seeing the sights. Kind of talking out loud what you're going to do or what you're working on. That is super valuable, and there's a lot of information to be relayed to the person from that. So I guess this kind of only applies to Training Group people, or if you're thinking about joining Training Group. But like when you post a stage, I mean, it's cool. I mean, of course, we're happy to look at anything. But if you post, let's say you post a 6-stage match. Well, okay, I had one I did. It was let's say a 6 or 7 stage match where it's like, I don't really care that maybe you didn't pick the strategy I would have picked on the stage. But it's like, hey, did you notice you're always over aiming? Did you notice you always, like, you set up your feet, you're always set up wrong? Hey, you never come in low to positions. Hey, you really struggle at entry and exit. So you really look for things that the person, like big ticket items, the person could benefit the most, more than just, hey, I wish you would have shot this target on the move, or hey, I wish you would have shot a different order for this array. So anyway, and then you could also carry that over when you're doing your own training. It's super valuable if you record your dry fire sessions you're doing, or if you're at the range and you record it. I think if you take that hoop, even if you're not on Training Group, reviewing your own training is way more valuable than watching let's say we did a 4 or 5 stage club match. You're not going to learn as much about your shooting, I think, than if you're looking at training and really looking at specific skills to see what you could do better, more than, hey, I missed that pop, or I wish I wouldn't have.
Yes. Well, I'm going to.
Do you think that depends on where they're at in shooting?
I don't.
Okay.
Well, I guess you could. I mean, maybe you could have the mental side of it, where hey, you just really just like did awful on this because you crumpled under pressure. That would be different. But otherwise, I learned the most, even in my own shooting, is doing drills. So I'm really working on my grip. I'm really working on position, entry, exit. I'm really working on staying low. I'm really working on shooting on the move, that kind of stuff. So
Matt, I will add some. I'll give you some feedback on your question. Would you like that?
Yeah.
So at higher level shooters, and this would be like real high level, a lot of times it's difficult to really break them or press them on drills. Like if they're shooting drills and shit that they're comfortable with, you don't really see a lot of issues, right? But in a match, if it's the match is built, I mean, it's not like they're building their own match. They go to a match that someone else builds. So there's a higher probability that you'll see stuff that they're not good at, but that's when they're really, really good at shooting. And then it tends to be really, really small, nitpicky things that you'll see. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah. So that's what I was kind of considering. I guess,
I'm basically kind of agreeing with Joel.
but I'm looking at it
I
from
gotta
my
see what you mean.
perspective.
Yeah.
So I submitted a match video of like 6 local stages.
Yeah.
And had that reviewed. So Steven reviewed it. I thought it was good. He actually pointed out some stuff I didn't even see that I was overlooking just because I guess it's my video and I didn't like pick it out and stuff like that. So I think it was good for me. I I can see definitely. So transition to the optic sight that I'm shooting now. I think it would be really beneficial to have someone look at my dry fire sessions too. So
Yeah.
I
Well,
think it kind
that's
of depends on where you're at and your skill level and all that.
it tends to be the guys that are submitting stuff weekly, the gold guys. Those are the ones, like, some of them you have to be like, hey, I want to see your training. Hey, I want to see your dry fire. Hey, I mean, I don't like, it's not as valuable just to see a match video every week from somebody. It's kind of like, because once you get to see them in their shooting, they tend to just kind of be the same person. They're just the same shooter. They go to a match one week, okay, then they go to a match the next week, and they're the same guy. Like, nothing has changed because their focus is on going to matches and not on doing shit in training. You get what I'm saying?
I like to use matches to kind of diagnose what if I'm not sure I should work on something. I kind of like to use matches to diagnose that. It'll help me give a direction to where I'm going. But like, if I know something I want to work on, like if I know XYZ thing sucks, I definitely agree with you guys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. Well, let's move things right along. Steve, you have a show and tell, is what I understand, right?
Yeah. So,
and this was my suggestion because you made some statements that I thought were curious, and I want to see you talk about it. So let's.
Right. So I shot all through 2018. I shot a stock 2 with a Romeo 1 on the gun, and then.
So your Carry Optics gun was a stock 2. It's not. I haven't seen a lot of people shooting stock 2s in CO.
Me either. I think I've seen, after I shot Ipsignats with it, one of the guys on my squad switched to a stock 2, which I thought was interesting. But I got a little inkling. Jordan let me use his Lim Pro. Similar optic setups, both plates. One was a Delta Point, one was a Romeo 1. And I just shot them side by side. So, I mean, basically the trigger back, the gun's almost identical. Things are changing is the bull barrel, the action length, and the dust cover length. And I found that I shot the Lim Pro like significantly better. I was shooting it faster and more accurately. I tested this.
So let me see this Lim Pro. Let me see it. So this.
In there.
Yeah. Okay. So for audio rip listeners, what you're sorry, you're not seeing anything that crazy, but it is it's a Tanfoglio looking pistol with an SRO on it. It looks like.
Yep. Yeah.
So
it's a 2. I want to get a 5.
One thing I noticed, is that a dovetail mount, optic mount, or is it cut?
No, it's a dovetail.
Okay.
Which I guess you could do with the old weight limit, huh?
Mm-hmm. What was that, Matt?
Are you planning on cutting it into the slide at some point?
No, just because if I want to throw irons back on it, then I can do that. When you cut the Tamfo, and I had a buddy that cut a stock 1 and then his optic didn't work. He needed to use like 1/8 of an inch of spacers to get it to 0. I just don't feel like dealing with that. It was super weird. But so the reason why I think that I shoot this better is because, well, I've shot a lot of single stack, and when I was on the Bullseye team, I shot 1911s there, and the action length is like almost identical. The weight distribution is almost identical. Like, if you put it side by side with the 1911, the dust covers and the slides end at the same points. So I think I'm just naturally inclined to shoot the way it's balanced and that action length a little bit better.
That makes sense.
This was interesting to me, Steve, because I don't know, like a long time ago when I started shooting Tanfoglios, my choice was Lim Pro or stock 2. I shot them both kind of side by side. I'm like, I don't really care, like, which one's the more common one, like this one, the stock 2. I'm like, okay, so I'll just get that one. And you're like, so with you reporting that there's like a massive difference for you between these two guns, I think is very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, so the way I kind of test them was doing doubles at like 30 yards.
Mm-hmm.
So I basically took like 600 rounds out and just did doubles all day and kind of just started averaging everything. And what I found was I was shooting generally all alphas with about 35 splits with the Lim Pro. I was shooting like 40, 45 splits and dropping Charlies with the stock 2. So I was like, it's pretty conclusive to me there.
Did they have the same grips on the guns?
Yeah, I was actually.
Joe can't
I was
even wrap
taking-
his brain around what you're saying right now. He can't wrap his
I was
mind around
taking-
it.
No, that's why I'm like,
the,
what's different?
I was taking the grips off of the freaking stock 2 and putting it on the Lim Pro because Jordan
No,
had
it's
some
fine.
terrible grips on it. I think it's the
So
action
the grip
length,
felt the same.
honestly.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's the action length. It cycles for a little bit longer, I think, because it's a longer slide.
Did it have like a dumb recoil spring, like an 18-pound or
No,
a 6-pound or
no.
like something crazy? Oh,
I think the Lim Pro had a 9, and I was running a 10 in my stock 2.
but close enough. It doesn't matter. It wasn't like they were
Yeah.
crazy.
No,
Extremes.
no.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, it was just, I think it recoils more like a 1911 to me, so I'm just naturally more comfortable with it because I have so many rounds in that platform.
I'm not even smart enough to know what a 1911 recoil is like.
It's more of a the way I kind of say it is that, like, instead of it flips more at the muzzle as opposed to jumping. I found that the shorter recoil systems jump a little bit more rather than flip in the front, if that makes any sense.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Joel is very interested in this.
I could just be nitpicking, but
You're definitely nitpicking.
yeah, but I don't know. It's worked for me, and I enjoy this gun a lot more than I enjoyed the stock 2. Because I think another aspect is that, I mean, I have this little inch diameter to try to track my dot in, whereas with like iron sights, you know, you have an indefinite plane that you can track with, and I think that has a big impact on it too. Because if the dot's coming out of the glass, it's hard to kind of predict, and it might make me shoot a little bit slower just because I'm losing sight of the dot.
With that dot being mounted so high, do you have parallax issues then? Isn't that more than if the dot was mounted lower or no?
I haven't
Or
noticed it.
like height over bore issues, I guess.
I haven't noticed it. Like, I just shoot kind of the forehead of a headshot, and that's pretty much the only time I change my impact point. Or if I might aim a little bit higher if there's like a stupid no shoot really close. But anything past 5 yards, I just kind of put it where I want it to hit.
Crazy. Okay.
Nice. I think
Yeah.
that's good. It's interesting that you chose the sight-mounted dot instead of a milled-in. So
It's
Yeah.
cheaper and faster. Like, I don't have to send it off to get cut. I just get it and I put it on and I can go
do you
shooting.
only have one gun?
No, I have 2. One's not set up right now though.
Okay.
So he has
One's
one.
just like
So-
effectively, yeah.
So Matt, out of curiosity, how many, I don't know if you're allowed to divulge this, but how many like busted up slides from crappy cuts to cut them for optics or to cut weight out of them? Same reason. How many of those things are coming back to you guys, like busted up?
Like, we've had some that have broken, that have been lightened. Like, that's going to happen no matter what you do. Obviously, 2011s, Shadow
Yeah, of
2s,
course.
whatever.
It's a big
But
problem
we
with
saw the
opening
Shadow
guns.
2 slides by itself.
Uh-huh.
So, like, we get, like, people know that. I think we've taught the shops that do it enough where they don't ask to, like, have them covered. They just buy a new one if it happens.
Just buy a
So,
new slide.
yeah, I don't, like, we
No,
don't
I mean, that's
hear
fair. Dude, that is fair game. If you mill on that slide and that fucker breaks, like, that's totally fair game from CZ that you guys are buying a new slide.
Yeah,
That
and
makes sense
we
to
don't
me.
get them to. We don't. They, like, I'm not super familiar with this, but I order the slides from the factory, and as soon as the weight limit got increased, they like stopped ordering slides because they don't have to cut them anymore. So
Dude, that weight limit
It-
increase is so dumb. They effectively made Carry Optics PDO, but they're too proud to admit that IPSC did it better. That's kind of how I see it. Like, why even bring a scale to a match anymore unless someone has an
they're
AO1
not
with
gonna.
breasts
They're
and
not gonna bring
everything.
a scale.
Like,
They're
like
I guarantee they
there's
don't
no
weigh
point.
carry optics guns anymore.
it's
They will not weigh
there's
them.
no point.
No, they're not gonna weigh them. You will not see a carry optics gun weighed anymore at any major match.
Yeah.
There's no point.
They
Well, unless
effectively
somebody,
made-
Matt, unless somebody doesn't make weight. if somebody doesn't make weight now,
Then they're gonna
Then they're
change
just
the
gonna-
rule. They're
I
gonna
know they're
change
gonna
the
have
rule
to
and
get rid of the
get rid of the
weight limit.
weight.
They'll be like, the new weight limit is none. There's no weight
Infinite.
limit. If somebody
So
will
they're
show
like,
up with a
yeah,
60-ounce gun.
You
just know
use an
something.
illegal hammer, we'll just change the fucking rules for you. Because someone got caught using a fucking illegal hammer that no one supposedly could police.
I love it.
And that's when production
Uh,
went like this.
You mean limited?
No, production.
Well, no, it's just limited now.
Except the 10 round and minor and magwells and all that, yeah.
Eh. A little bit of column A, a little bit of column B.
It's not
Magwells will probably be allowed in production before you know it.
As
All
long,
right,
as long
guys.
as it comes stock on the gun.
Yeah.
So now,
Guys.
now legions are just going to be all the rage.
We're getting off in the weeds. Like, you get it. Nobody's happy with the rules. All right. Let's move on. Who's next? Who's up?
You are.
Venice.
Shit, am I up?
Yes.
All right. So
I gotta
Talk about his hair.
let's not talk about my hair. Let's talk about training. So one thing that I've been working on a ton in training is Ghost Stop, which I made a little video that'll go in training group later for those of you interested. But first thing I should probably talk about is what is Ghost Stop drill? Somebody asked I think on a YouTube video, like, well, what is Ghost Stop?
I actually did not know what it was till Kwanzaa put up his video, so.
I know. So I will tell you what it is now. So what you do is put down some cones, and it's like a ladder drill that you did when you were in school, where it's like you go to you start at one cone and then you run to one closest, then you run back, then you run to one a little further, then run back to the original one, then from the original one you run to a really far one, and you run back, and so on. That's how the drill works. But for us, every time you move to another cone, you engage a target. So if you move to a cone, engage, move to a different cone, engage, and so on. And it ends up being a drill that's just lots of running, and then setting up on a cone and whacking a target. I've been doing it a lot. And to the point, I mean, like, I think every practice session for the last 2 weeks, I will set up this drill.
Is that the first
Yeah.
drill you do then before you're wore out?
I'll talk about. So there's so much running, so it's set up and it's there. And whenever I have wind for it, I go over there and shoot it a few times, and then I go back and do something else while I'm recuperating. And then I go back and I shoot it again. But I've been shooting it a lot. I find it very interesting because it's so counter to what I normally do in my training. So for me, it's hey, gun up early, get into position nice and smooth, and be set up, and then be ready to whack a lot of targets and then move out of that position. So I'm really about efficiency and like a nice clean setup into position with the gun up super early. This is different because there's so much running involved that I find myself, it's almost like you have less time to get the gun up and ready to go, even though that's not really true. But I mean, you're getting the gun up and ready and then moving the gun up and ready. So with 4 cones on this drill on one target, I'm doing 7 engagements, if that makes sense. And one of them's from the holster and 6 of them are out of like when you move. And this drill doesn't take that long. It's like a 15, 16 second drill, depending on the distances of the cones or whatever. But in 15 or 16 seconds, I'm doing 6 position entries and shooting. So it really emphasizes that skill. And I'm kind of finding myself having the ability to index a lot more precisely. So I'll look to a target that I want to shoot, 2 hands go on the gun faster than normal, or it feels fast to me, and then the gun's coming up with more precision to the spot that I'm looking at. So I'm kind of, I'm getting more precision with position entries. So I find that nice. I find that very likable. And then there's a lot of hustle too. Since there's a lot of running, you kind of get used to hustling around. So I find it very useful, very fun drill, and it's good for me.
What are you? Well, I know one of the videos we talked about it privately, where you had it was like targets at 30 yards, something like that. It looked like, I mean, it looked like when the gun got to eye level, you were sending it, and obviously
Yes.
you were hitting the target. What are you learning, or is it? What's your
It's
takeaway?
not really-
I guess.
It's not like stuff that I learned that I would write down for later. It's mostly building skills that, I mean, I understand the skills and how to do them, but the focal point for that drill is so different than other stuff that I normally do. I mean, like I said, normally I'll do. Usually I'm big on making it a more realistic setup, so I'll come into position and I'll shoot a lot of targets. So if you think about when somebody's working on their draw, if it's very easy to draw and crack one shot off, right, in a fast time. So they whip the gun out and shoot one shot. So you see people do that a lot, and you can, if you're doing your Instagram runs, you can really drive the times down. So for me, like, I'll draw and shoot 2, or I'll draw and do a build drill, right? If I'm testing my draw, really. You see what I'm saying? I'll test it. I'll be thinking, hey, I want a more realistic time for my draw, and I want to test it in a realistic way. But like everybody, I've gone through the phase where I'm doing the Instagram draws too. You know what I mean? So what I would kind of look at this, like Go Stop for me, it's kind of like the Instagram version of position setups. You know what I mean? Where I'm doing it a lot, and maybe I'm pushing it to ways that are not strictly realistic. Like there's stuff that if you're going to only shoot one target from a position, then you can get into position and already be kind of like moving back toward or moving towards the next one, because you know you're not really stopping. You know what I mean? So there's like little cheats like that are kind of built into the drill, which I don't necessarily like all the time, but it's an interesting change of pace to be doing, like kind of turning all the cheats on and doing all this stuff that I can to push the times down as much as I can, and really emphasize those skills of, again, a really precise index.
When did you come up with it and start incorporating it?
What's that, Matt? When did I come up with it?
The drill. Yeah.
I did not come up with it. Once I came up with it and put it on training group. And then I took a look at it, I'm like, yeah, this year. A couple months ago, he put it up, I think, maybe a little longer. But I looked at it, I'm like, oh, that's interesting. And then I started doing it. And like a lot of drills, you can look at the drill and be like, that looks interesting, and then not do shit with it. Or you can actually try it and then be like, oh, okay. A good example would be like doubles. There's a lot of people look at that drill and they're like, oh, that looks interesting, but maybe it's too simple, so they just don't do it. But then you notice when people actually do it, they learn a lot.
Yeah,
so it's
I
one of
skip
those
the doubles and get straight to the ninja stuff. I don't want to just work on like gripping the gun properly and shooting it straight. That sounds boring.
I love having a class where you're like working on all this like fundamentals and stuff like that. Somebody's like, what about more advanced stuff? And you're just like, I don't know what that would be. This feels hard to me. I'm struggling here. So that's what I've been working on, and I've been really enjoying it.
What advice would you give to people, to put you on the spot one more time? Tell people to do it a few times. Once you get winded, it's time to do something else, correct? Would you tell them to keep pushing? Because I feel like my gut is when I get tired, then you're going to start, like, you're not going to be doing it correctly anyway.
Okay. All right. Well, let me tell you my view on this, Joel. I think most people don't practice that much. Most people that listen to this don't practice that much. Maybe half of them do. All right. So by the time, if I say, hey guys, go on training group, if you're a training group member, and try that Go Stop drill. So that requires like somebody be a member, which there's plenty of them, I'm sure. They have to go on there, they have to click, they have to watch the thing, and then they have to go to the range and do it. The number of people that's going to do that as a result of this podcast is less than 10, probably. If I'm being honest, probably less than 10 people. Okay?
I don't know. I think the percentage would be higher. PSTG members.
Let's double it, man. Maybe there's 20. I don't know. It's not that many, because most people don't practice that much. But what I would say for me, if I'm going to practice like that, I go out to the range. Joel, you've gone and practiced with me. I don't set up one drill to do. I set up 2, maybe 3 things to do. And then I just like work on it for hours. And I just do that, and I'm happy. But most people don't operate that way. They'll like go and they set up a thing and they kind of piss around with it for a while or whatever. Or maybe they do a couple drills. I don't really know. Most people are probably not hitting it so hard that they're going to be physically exhausted from Go Stop and they need to do a different drill. So nothing probably need to be said about that. It's going to work itself out, Joel. That's what I would say. Or they're out there with their training partner and like one guy does it and was like, wow, that really sucked. I'm really tired. Then the other guy's like, yep. And then he does it. And they're like, wow, this does indeed suck. Yeah, tried it. It was terrible and I don't want to do it again. But I like that drill a lot. It's been effective, and it kind of makes the point for people to set up and be ready to go again. Like you get in position, you move again right away. So it's good to keep people light on their feet. And I like that. And I put it into the advanced classes. It's in the skills and drills classes. Now it's part of that curriculum. I like
That's
it.
what I was gonna ask.
I'm a fan. It makes the right points in the right way. So, yeah, I'm down. Okay, should we move on to a shooting question?
I got a topic.
Yeah. Matt has a topic.
That's topic. I thought you were trying to duck the topic, Matt.
No, I got one. I'm going to talk about. So, basically, my whole career has been shooting iron sights, and this year I've made it the goal and everything to shoot an optic. And since the World Shoot at the end of the year, I was shooting an optic. So I've been shooting an optic since the end of February, I think, is when I picked it up and shot an optic nonstop since then. Practice, dry fire, everything. Yes, I am dry firing now. I actually
I love
did
it.
20 sessions
Believe it
in
when I
March.
see it, muchacho.
Fuck you, dude. I did. I have it wrote down. I'm actually writing down what I'm doing also. I'm recording it
Excellent.
like times and it's like a shooting journal, but electronic now. So I actually did not think learning the target focus thing would be as difficult as it is. And it's taken me a lot of work and I'm still not 100% there, but so the first off, I was like going dot focused all the time, like pulling my focus back to where the dot is, typically of the iron sights. So I've had to break that, and that's been one of the biggest challenges I've ever had done
How did you break it, Matt?
by doing it. So I actually tried to. No, seriously.
No, Matt. I love this because you're just answering. Like, there's so many people that are like, "What's the drill to do this thing?" It's like, no. You have to practice thinking about that thing, focused on that thing, and change that thing.
Exactly. So I don't know how many times I can tell you I've started just doing an El Pres, and like 4 shots in, I notice I'm not looking at the target anymore, and I've actually stopped doing drills to make sure, and then refocusing back on the target, and from the sight and finishing the drill off.
What did you do about your dot brightness?
I turn it way down in dry fire inside. I had to turn it down to it where it was barely visible. And then
Okay.
I'm getting better now where I can ramp it back up. I don't even use a full setting when I'm outside in the sun's shining, except for midway through the practice session. I can't put it as bright as I can because it'll pull my focus back to that. I've already seen gains in that where I now can see. So the weirdest thing I've seen is, I'm sure Steven has done this before, and Ben, where you see a red line going up and down in the optic.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like a streak.
Yeah, it's a streak. It's actually really cool. And I never saw that before. That was one of the cooler things I've seen. And I think I don't think it's, I don't know. It's just, I'm being more aware and seeing kind of what's out there and what it's doing. So
The dry fire thing's the opposite of what Ben was talking about, wasn't it? You said you turn your dot way up to try to make yourself focus on the.
I make it harder for myself.
Yeah.
really,
Matt likes to play this game on easy mode.
God mode.
The way I
baby.
kind of got my eyes to break away from it was as a plate rack transition drill. I had a static steel off to the right of the plate rack, and I'd just go back and forth, take a plate down, hit the steel challenge, just throwing the gun back and forth. And it kind of forced me not to do it quickly and efficiently. I didn't have time to shift my focus back. As soon as I saw red on a plate, I needed to shoot and then move my eyes again. So it kind of forced me to not revert my vision back to focusing on the housing, if that makes sense.
So the biggest thing I've noticed is you pick a spot on a target, right?
Mhm.
And then the dot moves over to that spot, and then that spot disappears. So the hardest thing I've had is not worrying about it disappearing, because the red dot will move over what you're looking at.
Yeah.
And I'm and that's when my focus will get to shifting back and forth, trying to pick it out. And that's the biggest challenge I've had.
My kind of cue for it is seeing my bullets hit the target on closer stuff, at least. If I see holes appearing in the target, I know I'm doing it right.
Okay. Yeah, I'm still working at it. I mean, I got a lot to learn still.
Yeah. Obviously, if the target's torn up or it's a 20-yard shot, I'm not looking for holes, but it's kind of something I'll notice while I'm shooting. And sometimes I don't even see a dot if the target's fucking close enough. Like if it's a 3-yard target, I'm just gonna put the gun in the middle, and like if I see the A zone through the glass, I'm not really worried about seeing a dot. I'm just gonna send it.
I tried that at a local match, not worrying about like making sure I see the dot.
how did the
That's
story end?
definitely the time to try anything, Matt. Is at a match.
At a local match. It was the first match with the optics on the gun, so I was like, "Fuck it, why not?"
How'd it go?
I
How'd
had
it
some
go?
A few
moments
good
of
reasons.
brilliance.
What did you
I
come
had
up with?
some moments of brilliance on that, and then some not brilliance also. Like if you look at my results, I think you can probably tell which match it was if you look the last couple, and you can see where the brilliance was, and then not.
What gun are you shooting for K Optics now?
P10.
Okay.
I'm
I'm messing with a
bullying for you,
PO9
Steven.
right now. What was that?
So I'm debating on that right now. I might do the PO9 just because of double single action, but I'm sticking with the P10 for now. I don't think I'll change it.
Yeah.
I've been messing with the trigger and recoil springs, and there's a lot out there if you use
Know
your
where to look.
imagination of what to use on it, i.e.,
Yeah.
other manufacturer stuff, not specifically CZ stuff.
Fantastic. Should we move things along, gentlemen, to a question?
Sure.
You guys are going to, well, Joel won't like this question. I think Steven's going to take it and run with it, and I'm going to sit here and laugh. That's what I'm predicting.
Uh-oh.
All right. I'm switching shooting sports. I just found your podcast recently, so I'm sorry if this has been asked before. Let me tell you guys, this has never been asked before. And it's a great question, actually. I currently compete in SAS. And lately, that's Single Action Shooting Society for those who don't know, and I don't know.
Did he say what he shoots? Did they say?
And
what he
lately,
shoots?
I've been bored with how ridiculous the targets have gotten. I'm looking for something that requires a different skill set. We have to be very good at transitions and loading, but accuracy leaves a lot to be desired. What are the advantages to shooting USPSA instead of going the 3-gun route? I'm not looking to shoot revolver, but maybe production or open. Thanks for any guidance. And then he said, I don't know if it helps or not, but I shoot about 40,000 rounds a year, win most local, and if not win, be in contention for state and regional in this sport, in SAS. So, well, what do you think, guys? What do you tell a SAS shooter? And hold on, I need to find out exactly what this is. There's Western 3-gun as well, right?
It's like
You know what a
I'm
single
pretty sure
action is,
SAS
Ben?
is.
No, I know
Yeah.
what I've seen SAS message.
I'm pretty sure it's
SAS.
cowboy action where they like LARP as
Yes.
cowboys.
No,
Yeah.
but there's
It is
there's
LARPing.
there's Western 3-gun and there's SAS, and they get really pissy if you don't know the difference. It'd be like if somebody walk up to you like, "Hey, is this IDPA you guys are doing here?" You'd be like, "No, motherfucker, this is a USPSA match. Thank you very much."
I mean,
They would
I
look
would
at you
probably-
confused, like, "Why are you so upset?"
I would probably tell them it is an IDPA match, honestly.
It is IDPA.
Yeah, this is IDPA, dude. Come play. Here's a
I
gun.
live my
Just
life like an IDPA match.
point it down there.
So what do you say to this guy? What do you even say?
So
Does anybody here shoot 3-gun?
I have a few
No.
students that are
No, no
3-gunners,
shoots.
and what I've found is that they're way sloppier than USPSA shooters. Like they can get away with making more mistakes in their gigantic fucking minute 30, 2-minute stages. So they don't think about things at more than like a B class level. Like I had
Right.
one dude that was like legit. He's like, I never think of a stage plan more than like I'm going to run here and shoot stuff. I never think about if I'm going to do a soft entry, if I'm going to do a soft exit, hard entry, hard exit, what engagement order might be optimal or anything like that. I think they miss a lot of the finer points of pistol shooting just because it's kind of just thrown in, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No, that makes sense to me.
I have suggestions.
Tell me more, Joel.
It might depend on what the engagement and activity level is like in your area. So, for instance, at
Oh,
my
God.
club,
Damn it. Are you going to give a nuanced answer? Oh,
so at my club,
This is exhausting,
maybe,
Joel.
There's maybe 30 people that turn up to a 3-gun match, but a pistol match is like sell out and it's like at capacity. So USPSA, there's like a huge activity, like a huge amount of people doing it and quick training.
Hasn't the national trend been that 3 guns kind of slowed down?
I believe that's accurate.
Probably because there's like 4 different sports.
I didn't want to speak for something I didn't know about.
If there's 4 sports, Steve, then there's 0 sports. Think about it.
Anyway, there's going to be people.
There's no overall governing body. That's the whole problem with 3-gun.
Yeah.
Because they're like, your rule book's too big, and then every time they reference rules.
See what everybody does in your club, in your area. And then if you turn up to either one, I guarantee you can make friends with somebody that'll let you borrow their stuff. So try them both and see what you like.
This is a perfect opportunity, Joel, for you to take a dump on 3-gun. And you're not doing it. You're being reasonable. I hate it.
Very sorry.
I want you to take a dump on something you've never done and don't really know anything about. And 3-gun seems like a perfect opportunity for you to do that.
Ben, if I come to train with you, I'm like, hey Ben, I don't have a gun with me, but I have some 9mm ammo. There's probably a good chance I could borrow a gun.
I wouldn't count on it, buddy.
I didn't say it being functional, but
Steve and Matt can borrow anything they'd like.
Exactly. No, if you turn up at either match, you talk to the guys. I'm sure somebody will let you borrow their stuff. Try them both, see what you like. I'm sure there's very focused and intense individuals for both sport, and it depends on what's going on in your area.
Whatever.
How much engagement there is.
Dude, I'm gonna be honest. The guy writing this question, he seems like he's kind of.
He seems like he goes all in.
Well, yeah, he's definitely an all-in personality. That's good for USPSA.
I would
Not
agree.
necessarily bad for 3-gun, but it's definitely welcome in USPSA. People would like that. Complaining about the targets being ridiculous, and I'm guessing he means ridiculously easy, because they have pretty close steel targets. It's kind of a speed thing, I think, a lot of times. And so if that's his view of it, he's probably not going to be happy with the pistol part of 3-gun. Because they can't make up their minds. Either people are hosing like 5-yard targets with pistols at 3-gun matches, or they're 30-yard like freaking mini steels that they have to shoot a bunch of them. I feel like they can't make up their minds what the targets are going to be, but it's usually one of those two things is what I see in the footage anyway. So I think he'd be happy in USPSA. He'd probably like 3-gun too. I mean, it sounds like for this type of dude, anything that's different, he's probably going to like it. But I just think he'd probably be happier in USPSA, probably. If he wants
might miss the
organized thing.
Might miss the gun switching because they do shotguns.
Yeah, he might miss that.
Pistols.
But he'll probably be annoyed where 3-gun predominantly is like time plus scoring, and having a cardboard target with scoring rings that gets treated just like a steel target in SAS, that might annoy him.
Yeah.
I'm just guessing based on his email that he won't like that. But then hit factor scoring will be like a nightmare to figure out. So there's going to be challenges. No, probably maybe not. If he's shooting that much.
Cowboy is time plus 2, so as far as I know, so he'd fit right in.
It is, but they don't treat the cardboard like the steel, which is.
They shoot only steel.
Right, but like in 3-gun, they treat cardboard like it's his SAS steel targets, which would probably not.
Yeah, I can see that.
So you'll be happy whether it's production or open. Like, dude, you're probably going to be happier shooting 9mm as opposed to getting an open gun, because that's a whole project in and of itself, is to get an open gun, unless there's a reasonable one used that you already have, or like some guy has one for you. It'd be a while to get one. So fucking just shoot production or CO or something like that. You'll probably be happy.
Or stack. Shoot stack.
He sounds like an old guy. Maybe
he already came from fucking Western shooting. He doesn't want to shoot it anymore.
Matt, come on now.
What?
Look, there's 2 World Wars in that platform. You need to show some respect.
Well, hey, there's like Wild Bunch matches where you shoot a single action army and 1911.
Oh, it's so.
Well,
I don't even know what to say. It's
there was so many. Matt, you had a golden opportunity there to take a dump on 3-Gun.
they've dumped
just
on
didn't-
themselves, dude. They're hemorrhaging people.
What did they do that made everyone go away, Matt?
The sponsors realized that putting all that money in didn't make any sense and didn't get any return on value.
Yeah, that's true. And I think both of us sometimes sponsor matches and have a similar view of it.
I have a pretty good idea what sponsoring
Yeah, but-
matches entail.
What you put in and what you get out, does it even make sense?
It depends on how you look at it.
It all depends how you look at it. It really does.
Yep.
Well, this has been another Bang Up podcast, guys. I really appreciate you coming on, especially you, Stephen. Thank you for gracing us with your presence. I think it was good fun.
Me, dude.
All your dudes will be happy you're on. And well, that's pretty much it, guys.
Part of the
Listeners,
country
if
you're from, Steven?
What was that?
What part of the country?
I'm in California.
NorCal,
the
baby.
Bay Area. Yeah, Bay Area.
All right, cool. I didn't know where, so sorry
Yeah.
for interrupting, Ben. Go ahead.
well, anyway,
He's busy-
listeners, if
he's
you have,
busy texting.
if listeners have a question, you go to bensager.com, send me your question. I will be happy to answer for you. And just so you know, Joel, I'm actually work focused today. I was doing training plan updates. I was doing all this productive bullshit before this podcast. It was great.
I was gonna let you mess around your phone, and I was gonna do the listeners. If you have a question,
Oh yeah, do it.
Thing
Send
for
it.
you.
Go.
too
We'll
late.
be
We
ready
already
to
did
stop.
it.
Cool. Fuck it then.
We
We're
already
done.
did it.